This podcast is brought to you by Proton Dealership IT, experts in dealership cybersecurity and IT management. Interested in a free cybersecurity, compliance, or IT consultation? Visit protontex.com. That's PROTONTECHS.com.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. I'm Kellen Walker, coming to you from the LA Auto Show. Today on the show, another fire hits the damaged Novelis aluminum plant in New York. China depresses the prices of rare earths to spook U.S. investors. And here in LA, Kia shows off the redesigned Telluride. Plus, our exclusive interview with Nissan CEO Ivan Espinosa about the company's turnaround plan and the slew of new products it will unleash on the market next year.
You know, the fact that we have these new product lines coming in and having full blast next year is definitely something that's going to help.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. A 4-alarm fire was reported today at the same Novelis plant in upstate New York that burned in September. This comes just weeks before the supplier had said it expected full operations to resume. A Novelis spokesperson said it was too soon to know whether the latest incident will delay repairs from the previous blaze. The person said everyone working at the plant was safely evacuated. Ford has estimated the September fire and subsequent shutdown could cost the automaker as much as $2 billion. A Ford spokesperson said the automaker was aware of the fire and working with Novelis to get more information. Experts say China is actively using rare earth pricing as a weapon, and U.S. automakers may feel the hit first. At a congressional hearing Wednesday, lawmakers and industry leaders warned that Beijing is deliberately driving down prices for critical minerals to undercut U.S. mining and processing projects. Matthew Schloester of MP Materials said China slashed prices just as U.S. refining efforts were coming online.
We reinvested those profits to build U.S. refining capabilities at Mountain Pass. But as we prepared to launch, neodymium, praseodymium prices, the price of the key commodity, collapsed to levels below even China's lowest production costs. That predatory pricing destroyed incentives to invest, and it kept capital scarce.
The auto industry depends heavily on rare earth magnets for everything from EV motors to power steering. Witnesses said the industry would be the canary in the coal mine if U.S. supplies run short. And here in LA, Kia is putting a major spotlight on the next-gen Telluride, a critical model for the brand and one of its biggest U.S. success stories. The 2027 redesign adds something Kia has never offered on its flagship crossover, a hybrid. It's a strategic move as hybrids surge in popularity and rival big crossovers lean heavily into electrification. Kia says the Telluride remains core to attracting higher-income buyers and growing U.S. market share. The hybrid joins a new turbocharged gas engine and a larger, more premium footprint, all aimed to keep the Telluride competitive through the decade. The new model arrives in early 2026. And those are today's headlines. You can find more details on all those stories at autonews.com. Gen Z is a growing presence in an auto finance market mired in an affordability crisis and in the middle of major technological shifts. How are these young car buyers and owners navigating it all? Our own Paige Hodder wrote about it on autonews.com and talked about it with our own Jake Neer.
Paige Hodder, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so why is Gen Z important to pay attention to if you're a dealer or an F&I manager right now?
They might seem young to some of the people out there working in the industry, but they're a growing market and becoming a really important presence. You know, a good chunk of Gen Z still can't drive, but more and more of them are getting their driver's licenses. And on the older age, a lot of them are getting their first salary job, graduating college and getting enough money to consider buying their first non-clunker, their first guy down the street kind of car. And so if you want to be really active and proactive, meeting this new kind of market and this new kind of car buyer where they're at, like they're definitely someone to pay attention to.
And you mentioned this new kind of car buyer. Sometimes I'm a little bit wary of generational like dividing lines, but it does seem from your reporting that Gen Z has some unique habits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that, what really drew me into this story was a report released from FICO recently that took a look at credit score changes across the generations. And, one of the big headlines there was that Gen Z on average has seen their credit scores dip a little bit. And I think it's, no surprise to people who have been paying attention to affordability challenges across industries, but also student loans. Like it's all like a tough time in a lot of ways to be a young person, especially graduating college and, entering the workforce. So they're a cautious set of buyers. They're a really affordability aware is the sense that I got from the experts I spoke to. One of the things we talk a lot about on the F&I beat is price shock. You bought a car a couple years ago, you might be expecting a $300 or $400 monthly payment. Joke's on you, it's $800.
Yeah.
But like one of the big trends is like Gen Z is looking at things online before they go to the dealership. They're using those little like build my deal payment calculators. They're not surprised to see the payment. And they've done a lot of research and a lot of planning ahead of time to come to a payment or some type of deal that they want to get to. But on the other hand, I think a lot of people would make assumptions that people who grew up with, phones and technology might be, like some of millennials interested in completing, the entire process online. And that is really not showing up for the Gen Z buyers that we have right now. I think part of that might be that a lot of them are buying their first car, but from the experts I spoke to in the surveys that have been conducted, Gen Z wants to come into the dealership. They're going to have done a lot of research ahead of time. They're probably going to know what car they want to buy, and they're probably going to know how much they want to put down and what their payment will be. But they want to come and talk to you. And that, speaking with one of my finance advisor sources, like that is a real opportunity. A lot of the research that they do ahead of time introduces them to the idea of these ancillary protection products like tire and wheel protection or service contracts, that kind of stuff. So more than just like the loan. So then they've already done the research. They've heard of these products and they want to sit down with you and sort of talk through what makes sense for me. And, they're aware that repairs are expensive. So they're interested in that kind of stuff. And so there's a real opportunity with Gen Z to not be dismissive and not say like, oh, these, cheap young buyers, they don't have enough money to think about this kind of stuff. No, there's a real opportunity to sit down with them, treat them like any other car buyer that would come into the office and really say like, how can we help you get the monthly payment that you came in expecting, and what products might also meet your needs.
The story is called Gen Z Car Buyers Use Research and Digital Tools to Make Deals in the F&I Office. That's from our own Paige Hodder. You can find that on autonews.com. Paige, thanks so much for joining us on Daily Drive.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, our exclusive interview with Nissan CEO Ivan Espinosa. That's next on Daily Drive.
The centennial of automotive news comes once, and with it, a book worthy of the milestone. Produced in a premium hardcover format, this limited edition volume is designed to be a lasting presence in the offices, boardrooms, and Zoom backgrounds of leaders across the country. It's a celebration of the innovation, influence, and endurance that defined automotive news' first 100 years and a marker for the road ahead. Alongside historic moments, it offers fresh reflections from today's leaders on the forces reshaping the business, including an essay from Kathleen Ligocki, the highest-ranking female executive in the global auto industry during the late 1990s and early 2000s, about the rise of Mary Barra at GM.
When I look at someone like Mary continuing to have impact at her level, it inspires me to continue to have impact at mine.
The book will ship in late December. Copies are limited. You can pre-order now until Friday, November 21st at autonews.com.
While you provide top-notch support to your team and customers every day, is anyone taking the time to ensure your sensitive data remains secure? Just one click on a malicious link can place your entire dealership in danger. In fact, the average cost of a data breach surpassed $4 million last year. Stay one step ahead by understanding the threats and minimizing your risk. Proton Dealership IT works around the clock to provide you support 24/7, 365. Operating out of a cutting-edge security operations center located in the USA, Proton continuously monitors, detects, and responds to your potential network issues or cyber threats. You've got a lot on your plate. Keep your focus on where it matters most, your customers. Learn more about our comprehensive services at protontex.com. That's PROTONTECHS.com.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. Ivan Espinosa parachuted into the CEO position in April just as Nissan's earnings were cratering and the Japanese carmaker was bracing for a big tariff hit. Now, he is speeding through the revival plan he unveiled in May to slash $3.2 billion in cost, shutter 7 of 17 global factories, cut about 20,000 jobs, and reduce production capacity. Our own Hans Greimel sat down with Espinosa for an exclusive interview as part of our Talk from the Top series at Automotive News. Here's their conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Espinosa, for sitting with us today and talking with the annual Talk from the Top interview session. I'd like to just review some of the topics that we covered today, and maybe we'll start off with the U.S. expectations for sales this year and next. Where do you see the volume going?
Well, this year we're basically flat, and we're expecting to keep performing well in the retail side. So we have reprioritized the mix of our business for two reasons. One was, first, the tariffs came in. So the low end of our product that is coming from Mexico, we had to adjust the car flow. The volume was reduced. And we're focusing more on U.S. built product. So this is one of the changes that we're doing. The second is the mixing between retail and fleet. So we are focusing a lot more on healthy retail business. And we have almost 1 point of market share grown versus last year, which is a good trend. And we have reduced also the fleet. There's healthy fleet, which we still want to participate on. But we've been a bit more selective on the fleet deals that we get, trying to improve the overall business situation.
Where do you see the sales going next year? I know that one of the issues with the dealers in the United States is the stair-step incentives and the push for volume. You expect that to end up driving volume in a positive direction from here?
Yeah, we want to continue healthy growth to the extent possible. We don't want to keep growing volume for volume's sake. I think in the end, it's a balance. And this is what we have done already this year, trying to balance more healthy business. Even if our absolute sales look like, reducing, the business itself is better. So this is what we want to do. And we want to start, growing from there with a healthy base. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And next year, you see growth maybe increasing a little bit? So when will we see the U.S. turnaround in terms of absolute growth?
I think next year we should be in a position to grow our sales because of the products that we are bringing. So we will be launching the next generation Rogue with the e-Power system next year. We will also have a full year of Sentra, which is being rolled out now. And we're also increasing towards the end of a fiscal year our capacity of a frame product in Kyushu. So this will help us drive more QX80 and Armada sales globally and, of course, in North America. So this should position ourselves to have a bit better performance in terms of sales.
Do you see like a percent growth of 1-2%? What did you?
I don't have a number to give you now. We're discussing those details as we speak with the team. But the fact that we have these new product lines coming in and having full blast next year is definitely something that's going to help.
The full blast, I like that. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. And looking out to 2030, we talked a little bit about the hybrid strategy and the need for more hybrids there. What kind of hybrid lineup do you think you'll see in the U.S. in 2030?
Well, we're starting with the C segment, which is a segment that has hybridized very quickly. So today the segment is probably 70% ICE and around 30% hybrid. So we want to step in quickly there, and this is why we are bringing the Rogue with the third generation e-Power. Then we will also see offers in the D segment and eventually also in the lower end. There are segments that are more prone to pay for these systems and that they have the capacity to pay for them. And there are segments that are a bit more price sensitive, so we are looking at the speed very carefully.
So the D segment, because there's kind of a bigger margin, bigger price tag built in.
Exactly. It's the absolute price is larger, so the percentage the customer has to pay to get access to this technology is less so of a smaller car.
Is the third generation e-Power powerful enough for a big D segment vehicle?
Well, we have other solutions available as well. We're considering what's best. In this segment, of course, you have towing, you have many other things, so power is important. And this is one of the reasons why we still offer our V6 in Pathfinder. And we are considering what's the best technical solution for that.
I see. In terms of electrification, what other options do you have for the D segment?
Well, you could do a V6 hybrid, for example. There's several things. Nissan is a very capable company when it comes to powertrain development.
That doesn't sound like an e-Power, though. Is that an e-Power solution?
Not necessarily. Again, what we're looking at is to give the best solution for customers. Yeah. So
I see.
And for now, C segment and smaller applications for e-Power work wonderfully well. We're looking what's the best choice that we could bring for customers in the larger applications.
Is that something that would be brought in from a partner then? Or
not necessarily. Again, it could, but not necessarily.
That's interesting. Okay. And then by the end of the decade, let's say, what's the kind of the makeup of hybrids in the lineup? A couple...
Well, we should see offers in the C segment, in the D segment, and likely in the B segment. Because we see it's moving very quickly on those two segments, particularly C and D. We see the hybridization accelerating very quickly. So we should be positioned before end of the decade to have offers on hybrid on those segments.
And that would require localization of the hybrid production as well?
Well, yes and no. There's combinations you could imagine. So of course, you can assemble the full car in the US and import the hybrid powertrain. Or we could think of localizing if the business case makes sense. We have the capability. We have our Deckard facility there. So we have the capability, and the speed would be quick because we have the facilities available. Yeah.
Okay. And right now, the foreign exchange rate makes it very lucrative, I guess, or positive, I guess, to export from Japan. But is there a certain exchange rate at which it becomes, you've kind of triggered as a tripwire, where it becomes less, localization becomes, in the United States, becomes imperative?
Well, we're monitoring. The good thing is in our biggest vehicle line, which is the Rogue, we have manufacturing in both Japan and the US. So this gives you the best because you can hedge and you can react and you can adjust. And we will continue to have that flexibility. We intend to continue with that flexibility for the future. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you're very busy with getting this company back on track, but yeah, you've got a good plan in place and it's making good progress. So best of luck.
Thank you. Yes, we're doing our best and everyone is engaged behind. So thank you.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Michael Martinez, Molly Boygon, Jack Walsworth, and Paige Hodder for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on automaker executives, supply chains, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with Skylar Chadwick from Cox Automotive discussing the company's recent service industry study.
Convenience is trumping dealership loyalty as we see customers deflect from going to the dealership and going to these general repairs.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.